Funeral in Melbourne for Ted Whitten, Mr. Football. There's been an overwhelming reaction to Ted's long battle against cancer and his death on Thursday night. I think he touched everybody in football. He's left a mark that's indelible. And Stephen Phillips has paid tribute to the man who for 40 years has been known as Mr. Footy.
Back takes his kick now, down towards centre half forward. Whitten moves into position, and a beautiful mark.
I think I've seen nearly every game that he's played over the years, and there's only one Ted Whitten. I don't think there'll ever be another one. These fellas are born. There's only one thing wrong with Ted, he wasn't triplets, that's all.
Congratulations, thank you very much. Good. Tremendously happy. They won in Tasmania, they won the country football here, and this is sensational. The boys are all very excited. We've got to get over the players. This is great stuff. Where's Billy Goggin, the coach? Billy, you talk to the people.
A quiet life it was not. A loud, lusty celebration it certainly was. For generations of footy fans, the sight of this barrel-chested, blue-jacketed ex-player storming across a football field was a riveting one. If State of Origin football rejuvenated state fixtures, then Ted Whitten became the heart and soul of their very existence.
Stuck it right up them. That's what you did. You stuck it right up them. There. Oh, what a bloody relief.
Bitter opponents of ages past became true friends.
Some of our battles at interstate level were absolutely fantastic. They were tough, they were hard. Often you came off with a bruise here and a bruise there and perhaps a blood nose and a split chin. But the beauty about it was, with guys like EJ, after the game, you sat down and you had a good drink, you talked about it, great mates, and one of the real true friendships that I've, I guess, achieved out of footy.
Edward James Whitten was arguably the most complete footballer of his time, a kid from the working-class suburb of Braybrook who came to represent the blue collars of his western suburbs' roots. The blonde hair, the tan skin, the superb physique were the result of Whitten's endeavours. The abundant talent was God-given. While Ted Whitten could create a party by his very presence, there were few parties that lived in his memory like the one that followed this match in 1954. This rare vision showed the young EJ and the famous number 3 Guernsey helping Footscray to the only premiership in its 70-year history. The victory over Melbourne at the MCG was surely his crowning achievement.
Ted had that attitude on the field that his bark was worse than his bite. Ted was a very, very humble man. For me, being a champion player that he was, and how humble he is, and you never hear Ted talking about himself, was all about we. And I always think that was one of Ted's finer points.
Overruns. Domenico in there. Whitten comes through. Oh, wild twist by McGowan. Whitten in there. Oh!
Outspoken, larger than life, a colossus on the football field, Whitten became the captain, the coach, the leader of Footscray in 1957.
Got the wind behind him. He's got this a mile. Look at it. Oh,
God has a shot at goal. He's curled it down into Woods. The square misses the mark for you. That's Teddy Whitten. Booted high up towards Ted Whitten instead of halfway on the flank, and he's going to mark it. O'Brien fell over, and look at that hand pass. To Spargo. Spargo pops the shot. It's accurate. It went through. Oh!
But Ted, the footballer, is admired and respected by absolutely everybody. The skill that Ted had, he is my #1 footballer. I know the Careys and the Ablets and these players are wonderful players, but EJ Whitten is clearly #1 as far as I'm concerned.
While he was stripped of the official positions as age caught up, in the eyes of many, it was a position he would hold in perpetuity. Mr. Football was Footscray.
Tell me, Mr. Football, was there a fight you'd ever miss? And didn't you give the gunny shark a hug and a farewell kiss?
No, not me. I was just finding the mud out of his mouth.
Teddy, EJ, it all sounds like football to me.
In 1970, he became the longest-serving player in league history, his 321 games eclipsing Dick Reynolds' 20-year-old record. That last game against Hawthorn, a nostalgic farewell. For Seven's cameras, a rare insight into the man. At three-quarter time, he urged his players, for one last gasp.
You've got to inspire me with this last quarter bid. You've been in front all day, you've got to stay there. Are you going to sit there?
From all the players, people, supporters, look, honestly, I can't say thank you enough to you for how you've stuck with me and the players throughout the years with the club.
As a commentator for Seven, his calls of the grand finals of the 60s became legend, none more so than St Kilda's historic win over Collingwood in 1966.
Slow it down, slow it down.
Yes, he's taking your advice, all right, Ted. Can the Saints hang on and win their first ever?
They've got it.
Television became a career. The Whitten voice, one of the most distinctive.
During the next half hour, you're going to see all the highlights that have made this 1972 season such a spectacular one.
And he would become a household name on radio too, calling football for K-Rock at Geelong until the very end.
Down into the pocket, out they come to meet the football, but it's well off target to Abbott and goes over the boundary line for a fell in.
While the playing career that made him the superstar of the 50s and 60s tends to be forgotten, his contribution to the revival of state football should never be. As chairman of the Victorian selectors, he was the spruiker, the face of the much-feared Big V, the blustering Jut George spokesman. In victory, he was the show. A defeat hit him hard and personally. In December last year, the public were told what his closest friends had known for some time. Mr. Football was fighting cancer. Son Ted Jr. broke the news. The support was overwhelming. Fearing the impending loss of such a cherished and unique character, the honours began mounting. At a special board luncheon at AFL headquarters, Whitten was presented with the 1958 Tassie Medal. He'd tied with teammate Alan Aylett 37 years earlier, but lost on countback. In a magnanimous gesture, the AFL decided to make the award retrospective.
Teddy, terrific, and like I said, my honour and privilege to do all of this.
I do very much appreciate this because it is an honour. 37 years late. But some of my grandchildren, I'm sure, will appreciate later on in life. And I know I do. And our whole family will. And it's a pleasure to share with you, Paddy. Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Has there been a more fitting or public farewell? Deep in the southern stand, prior to the state game against South Australia at the MCG, Ted was on hand to urge his men on. There would be no state game without EJ. 2 strokes had deprived him of his sight. His speech was faltering, but the spirit was mighty. 64,000 braved the coldest Melbourne day for 2 years to express their love, to give him their support. The lap of honour was just that. Whitten has passed away, but for those who knew him, who loved him, the indomitable spirit will live on as long as football is played.
There's not a cloud in sight. It's as blue as your blue goodbye. And I thought that it would rain the day you went away.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Good.
Stephen Phillips' tribute to a unique force in Australian sport, and Ted's funeral will be telecast on HSV7 at about 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning. We're going to take a break.
Australian football bid farewell to a legend. Ted Whitten, the one and only Mr. Football, passed away after a long battle with cancer. And while the team up there in football heaven will no doubt be looking a whole lot stronger for his presence, things won't be quite the same down here. Teddy, we'll miss you.
You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me with this last quarter bid. You've been in front all day and you've got to stay there. Are you going to sit there?
I think I'll miss the actual action out there on the ground, mixing it with the players, taking the knocks and giving them, giving some cheek and getting a lot back, arguing with umpires.
The king of the western suburbs, Mr. Football, had abdicated.
Right up them. That's what you did. You stuck it right up them. The Vicks are back in town. Oh, what are you going to sing the song, fellas? Yes, they come to play.
Just for recreation, take the master time away. Hey, lots of fun, heaps of fun.
Foot's grade now. I'm knocking on the door of the 8th. Max!
I'm listening. I just tell him not to take a bite while you're speaking.
All laugh, go on. Have your fun now, get over and done with.
You're rapper, eh? Everyone else thinks he should have played except you.
Was almost as silly as Elizabeth Taylor saying ouch on the last wedding night. That's what I think about some of your statements, honestly. Some of them are ridiculous.